Good morning. Just going to revise what we did yesterday. So how many times does 4 fit into 5? Once, with 1 left over, makes 17. 4 into 17, 4 4s are 16, and with 1 remainder. So that's what we should be up to at the minute. In maths, we generally don't, certainly when we start division, we use remainders, but when you get older, there's a better way of doing it. So what you would be expected to do you would be expected to turn the remainder into a decimal or into a fraction. Okay? So today, you're going to be dividing whole numbers with remainders that are converted into a decimal. Okay? Because we don't usually answer sums with remainders. Okay? It's a little bit childish, for want of a better word. All right, so when you're left with a remainder, there are 3 things you have to do. You have to put down a decimal point, you have to add a 0, and then you have to ask yourself, how many times does 4 fit into 10? Okay, so 3 things were decimal point, add a 0, and how many times does 4 fit into 10? That's when you're left with a remainder. So 4 fits into 10 twice, with 2 left over. And then we add a 0. And the question is, how many times does 4 fit into 20? And the answer is 5. So instead of saying 517 divided by 4 equals 14 remainder 1, you can say 517 divided by 4 equals 14.25, or 14 and a quarter. 0.25 is a quarter. Okay? We're not doing fractions today. We are just focusing on decimals. All right, we'll go through that again. Decimal point down, add a 0, and now we're asking ourselves, how many times does 4 fit into 10? All right, 6 into 8 goes once with 2 left over. 6 into 21 goes 3 times. 3 6s are 18, 19, 20, 21. So yesterday you would have written remainder 3. Today we're going to turn that remainder 3 into a decimal. Okay, it's not 0.3. There's a number of steps that we need to do before we have our decimal number. It's not 0.3. Okay, so 3 things. Decimal point, add a 0, and then the question is, how many times does 6 fit into 30? And it fits 5 times. Okay. Are there any remainders, or does it fit into 30 evenly? It fits in evenly. So that's it, 13.5. Okay, how many times does 4 fit into 9? It fits twice. with 1 left over. How many times does 4 fit into 13? It fits 3 times. 3 fours are 12 with 1 left over. How many times does 4 fit into 14? It fits 3 times with 2 left over. So the 2 goes there, 2 left over. We need to add a decimal point. We're talking about a number that's less than 1 now, less than 1. Now we want to divide 4. We want to divide 2 by 4. So take 2 apples and divide them into 4 bits. 2 apples, divide them into 4 bits. How many times does 4 fit into 20? 5 times. All right, 3 things you need to remember. We need to add a decimal point. We need to add a 0 to the remainder. And then we ask ourselves the question, how many times does 4 fit into this number? Your answers today can be to 2 decimal places. Okay, to 2 decimal places. So decimal point and then 1, 2.